All right, part two.
Let's try again.
We had some technical malfunctions. We're back. If you're joining us just for this part two, this is Will Pye. I'm Brian Piergrossi. We're in a discussion. We're in a conversation that you're welcome to join us in. And you were talking about when you had this big shift in your life, this major shift in your life, which I feel a lot of people can relate to. I can relate to, which I can share a little about my story in a minute. But you were diagnosed with brain cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And you said there was a quote that really was changing for you. What was the quote?
Well, this was the quote that I wrote down prior to being diagnosed, 5 days before, and then I left the hospital, opened my journal, and this was the words that I read. And the words are, "Death is certain.
Wow.
Its timing uncertain.
Wow.
So, what is important now?"
Wow.
And you couldn't have scripted it, right? Just the perfection. It's like, just in case my conscious mind was too dense to get the purpose and the soulful function of the diagnosis, the wake-up call, the opportunity to check in with how I'm living my life, what I want to be doing in my life. Mm-hmm. It was really there for me, spelt out in the quote. I know you've journeyed with illness and wake-up calls. That's been a part of your soul's evolution as well.
Yeah. So just briefly, for me, it was chronic fatigue syndrome. Mm-hmm. So I had a sense of, my life's going to be this way. It's going to look this way. I'm going to do this, do that. I'm in charge, in control of everything, and all of a sudden this thing happens, and it's like, whoa, this is totally not how I thought my life was going to be. So that happens, I think, for people in a variety of different ways. It can be cancer, it can be an illness, it can be someone close to you dying, a spouse, a child, a parent, losing a job that you never thought you'd lose. These different things can kind of set off this what can be like a dark night of the soul sort of a thing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be something that creates intense suffering, but it can be. Mm-hmm. And then it just sort of opens you to something beyond the ego, right? Something beyond the ego. And so what did you start to discover as you further on this path post-diagnosis?
I'm feeling an excitement answering that question, because what I discovered post-diagnosis is that the universe, reality, is set up to support and facilitate my healing and awakening and well-being. So the journey of healing, the way that the synchronicity after synchronicity after synchronicity took me to that healer, or to that nutritionist, or to that neurosurgeon, or to whoever I needed to see at the time. And indeed to that piece of my consciousness, or that piece of my emotional body, or to that tension in my consciousness was really remarkable. And that's something that I seek to ever more deeply integrate into my consciousness, into my mind, into my body, into my cells, that this is a friendly universe, that this is a friendly reality. There is love that's here for us, and there's a natural movement of evolution and expansion that's wanting to occur through us. And it's been true for me to check in recently, and I imagine you can relate. And I read this wonderful Rumi poem pointing to when we're coming from our soul, when we're connected with our essence, when we're doing and being what we came here to do and be, there's a joy, and there's an ease, and there's a flow, a glow. And it's been interesting, just recently we were chatting, I've noticed that I haven't been in the fullest flow and expansion just recently. So I think that's partly where the excitement came from, saying, what did I realize? It's like, oh yeah, I'm realizing it again now, that there is just this incredible support for my well-being and for my awakening, healing and service. So I think a question that's really alive for me right now is, what's most aligned with my soul? What is most important now? That's a question that's always requiring an inviting review, right? Like we were talking earlier about checking in with what we're doing? Is this our highest expression right now of how we can show up?
Yeah.
And that seems to be requiring a listening from us to, like, really be listening to the heart, listening to the.
Yeah.
I've been inviting my dreams to let me know recently. Give me some guidance as to how I can serve and how I can show up in the next iteration.
Brings up a couple things for me. One is you talked about before the diagnosis, when you're a teenager, the sense of like, this shouldn't be happening and that shouldn't be happening and this is wrong. This, which I totally relate to that. And then as you open up on this journey, you're waking on this journey. One way you're describing it is there's a sense of, I don't think you get quite necessarily in should or shouldn't, but it's more like whatever's happening, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Whatever is here, that's what's here. So the mind kind of quiets to just be present with what is without having to analyze should or shouldn't or whatever. And if that's happening, then you just notice that, right? And then within that, there's the potential to respond to what's happening in a way that was blocked off before because you weren't even acknowledging what's happening. You weren't even in a space of accepting what's happening. So that's where I think the space of being present, okay, here's what's happening, then I can continually assess or reassess, respond, not respond, respond this way, respond that way. It's like an intelligence that I open to that becomes available to me that I don't open to if I'm in a state of resistance, of this shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, right. It's a paradox in the sense that the more we open and love things as they are, the more things will change favorably for us. Primarily in the moment of being okay with things as they are, right? When I can feel like a heaviness in my system, like a heaviness in my chest, and I can just presence that, just like, no problem, nothing wrong, nothing to fix, just feel it, then it moves and it shifts and it's not a problem. Similarly, when it's like, okay, got a brain tumor, like, how interesting to just to be with that, which is really, really interesting.
Yes,
right?
it certainly is.
Like, wow,
I'm interested in it.
Right. It's looking at our lives like as a movie, right? It's like as the hero's journey. Yeah. And it's like, oh wow, I didn't see that coming.
Now to do that, I totally resonate with that. But to do that, there has to be a sense that I'm ultimately not the character in the movie. Right. That's the difference. Right.
Yeah, and that's for me where meditation was essential as a means of allowing awareness to ultimately recognize itself or to know itself, but to create the distance from identification or identity or self-stories, self-images and thought, and be able to observe and witness and enjoy the witnessing, enjoy the observing. It's a wonderful metaphor, the movie metaphor, to actually recognize our life as a kind of movie, as a kind of dream, and be considering how we want to be in this moment, and perhaps choosing what conscious meaning we're giving to it. So if there's, like I was saying, I had this retreat recently and it was really badly attended compared to other ones. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? Oh, it's neither good nor bad. Maybe it's an opportunity to deepen my messaging or my communication or move into a different area of expression and service. So that's a really powerful question for me always, is like, what's the opportunity here? What's the opportunity here? And of course, if we're asking that question, we're going to increase our chances of finding the opportunity and actually seeing it that way.
And that allows for what people often call flow state. Right?
Do you know Justin Fairman and Jackie Nectar?
I don't.
I'm not sure if I pronounced their names right. They do a lot of work around flow. I know that's something you're big on as well. And it's kind of tapping into that unfolding. Again, for me, I think it's something around tapping into our heart and our deeper knowing and our soulful essence, like why we're here,
Yeah.
and trusting in that, and trusting what we feel to do, trusting where the heart, trusting where our intuition wants us to go. Yeah, we were talking about travel, like
Yeah.
how do we get to live such full lives with travel? I think a lot of it is that we trust that we can do that we can spend the money on that, and more money will come, and that it's okay to go to that country or that country.
Yeah.
So anyone can do that in this day and age, right? You can go on the internet and spend next to nothing.